Hi and welcome back to Real Reviews, where today I'm diving into Lockwood and Co. Yes, that's right, it's the YA young adult adaptation of the Jonathan Stroud series by Joe Cornish. Yes, he is the guy behind Attack the Block, and it was and remains one of the coolest one-season wonders of the Netflix era. Yes, they cancelled it, critics and the audiences, the fan base loved it unanimously, and yet it was decided because it didn't get the audience, it didn't have the legs in the opening season, they were going to cut the knees off it and it was going to be no more. So let's dive into exactly what it was that Lockwood and Co was, is and remains, and still can be found on Netflix for 8 glorious episodes for everyone to enjoy. So let's start off with Cameron Chapman as Anthony Lockwood, this sort of ne'er-do-well teenage ghost hunter, because you're living in a world, you're in a universe where you have agencies which are taking on the supernatural throughout the London boroughs, and Anthony Lockwood may have the name, may have the reputation, but he doesn't have the backing, he doesn't have the cash, and he's only a teenager. Alongside him you've got Hadji-Heshmati, George Kareem, and you have Ruby Stokes playing Lucy Carlisle. This is a truly original and epic series. There's a little bit of Potter in there. It feels very grounded. You've got some incredibly good visual effects. The story is solid, and the chemistry on screen between this trio really does get things moving along, and you get nice little cameos thrown in there. You've got Nigel Planer, who people of my age, my generation, will remember as Neil from The Young Ones. He plays Sir John Fairfax. You've got elements of the supernatural. You've got elements of, shall we say, the public school, the hierarchy system, the class structure within the agencies themselves. And you've also got, as I said, you've got a solid writer in Joe Cornish, and director, obviously, and it absolutely sings from the opening minutes of the season as a whole, this is why it baffles me and probably many others as to why it got cancelled, but it did. But let's dive into what else it is about Lockwood and Co, which really, it's heartbreaking. Let's do that next. So I think the thing to remember with Lockwood and Co is the fact that this may be YA young adult territory in terms of supernatural thriller, in terms of sort of teenage daring do, and the aristocratic sort of supernatural interweaving plot lines and threads which make up ultimately a very satisfying story, and you get this real sense of, as I said, grounded characterization from this epic ensemble, as well as the central trio themselves. The standouts for me were Ruby Stokes and Cameron Chapman as Lucy Carlisle and Anthony Lockwood, respectively. It's just a shame, as I said, because there's so much intricacy, there's so much depth, and the source material from Jonathan Stroud is so intricate, and there have been lesser series which have gone on longer, and it just makes no sense to me. I could go back to, if I was going to be nitpicky, going back a good few years now, you could look at the Constantine adaptation, which was made for an American cable network. And that in itself was probably one of the true and most solid adaptations of the Hellblazer novels as a whole, and yet it got canned. Why? Because it was too close to the original source material. Yes, there was a little bit too much violence. Yes, there was a little bit too much language thrown in there, but the depiction was just epic of the central character, and sort of poo-pooed that entire Keanu Reeves thing. Anyway, I've digressed. The point with Lockwood and Co is that everybody should see this. This needs to be picked up and it needs to be carried on by a network, an American network cable company. You're talking HBO, you're talking Showtime, you are talking Hulu if you wanted to do that. Is this anything that's just going to get this series to get going again and to take full advantage of that source material? Right, so I'm going to dive into my thoughts and my rating. Let's do that next. Right, so I loved Lockwood and Co way back in 2023, and it continues to be in my top 10 of TV adaptations of, shall we say, novelised source material. What a wordy way of getting round to the point of, yes, I like the books too. So this is going to be a 4 out of 5 by me on the big old 5 scale, and it's time to dive into that trailer, and let's do that next. Right, so you've made it to the end of the video review for the retro look back at Lockwood and Co, which is currently still on Netflix, all glorious 8 episodes of it in its entirety. So this is the bit where I go, if you've liked the video, give me a thumbs up. Failing that, you can always just drop a comment in the comment box below because you know I'll respond. And finally, you can just subscribe so that every Tuesday and every Saturday when I drop another one of these videos, you'll get a little notification and then you can drop in and watch or listen to as much or as little as you like and then go about your day. In the meantime, check out the rest of the channel, maybe pop over to the Patreon page. Take care.